Hey, Mark, thanks for taking the time for a little interview today.
Hey Niels, thanks for having me on the show. With SumUp, we help small merchants to run their business, which goes all the way from accepting card payments, running the register, and also offering them MasterCard and account linked to it. So we started about 12 years ago with the aim of supporting small merchants, and today we support more than 4 million merchants in 36 countries across the world.
I would love to know, how did you imagine that we could help going into this project?
Maybe to take a step back. So we're opening field sales as a channel with having hundreds and hundreds of sales reps running the streets and promoting our beautiful products. And then we obviously were faced with a decision on how to solve this best. And there's plenty of solutions you can buy off the rack. However, we do believe that it's more beneficial for our business if we have a customized solution cut to our business, because obviously we have a regulatory component with opening merchant accounts and so on. So we wanted to build our own app. However, if you want to start such a project internally, there's never resources available because everybody is busy working on more important stuff. And there's never this initial push to get anything started. However, which was very clear to me is that we want to connect the app to the overall SumUp ecosystem, which is mainly Salesforce, but also our own backend and so on. So I was looking for a partner that has a lot of very good front end and design capabilities to make it easy and intuitive, and also the aim to connect everything back to the home base. So kind of outsource the app in the front end and make sure you're not allowed to build any of your own back end, but rather always make sure it's connected to the SumUp mothership.
Why would you say is a tailored user experience for the sellers specifically important in this project?
First of all, as a company, we're running very fast in building up the rep program, which means you have plenty of Google Docs and everything rather manually tracked, which obviously is not the best experience. So the more technology you can give people to support the sales effort, the easier it is. At the same time, you obviously need to create a lot of value for the reps, because nobody wants to come home at the end of the day and fill out 12 type forms with all the stuff they did during the day, but rather you want to make it easy, intuitive, as few buttons as possible, make it give the rep value by using it, make it easy so they can kind of do it while they're on the streets. So we actually started with what we thought is the central piece of the overall process, because then you kind of have all the reps using them. So where we came from is actually every seller had like 5 different landing pages with 5 different prices. And then when they were in front of the customer, said, okay, this is landing page number 5, and then send that landing page. So we started with a very easy offer generation, where you kind of just put in the client's name and say, look, that's the percentage I want to offer, and allow the reps to this way create a very nice, beautiful, easy offer, which obviously makes them look great in front of their customer, because that whole process is seamless, easy, and fast. Traditionally, you have like 3 pieces of paper, a white one, a yellow, and a pink one. And then you fill this out with a pen, and you leave the white paper with the client, you leave the yellow for yourself, and the pink goes back to the company to know what contract
They offered.
they offered, they entered.
Yeah.
So obviously that thing can be nicely replaced with more future-proof solution, which then usually is like a PDF generator with a signature, which obviously is still the piece of paper, just in a different form factor. And I think we created a very nice, intuitive sign-up flow where you just accept terms and conditions, no signature needed, and you just give us a couple of data points, and this way we enter into a contract with the customer.
I definitely learned like a ton about the process of field sales and the spirit those people have, and how to think more like someone who's out in the field selling stuff, and what sort of issues arise and so on. So most of them are using this app that we built on their phone. And we opted to build like a web application in that sense, and not like a native iOS thing.
Well, first, I think we're probably getting to a couple of thousand sellers with this solution. So it's not the mass market where, I don't know, people need to use Instagram with millions of people. And I think we want to keep this as efficient as possible, because this web app has a beauty to work on all form factors. So it works on Android and iOS. It also works on your laptop, works on your tablet. And I think the paradigm many years ago was you need to have a native app to make this really well. While I think today, if you look at the Sidekick app, how we call it, it's kind of beautiful and works very nicely. By the way, do you know why it's called Sidekick? It's
I know why. Yeah.
it's because the rep is the superhero and the sidekick technology is what helps him to be a better superhero.
Awesome. And maybe final question, really, what would be your resume after like the first couple months we have now?
I'm very happy we went down this path. And what was very powerful is that we literally within weeks were able to show people something and give it to them to kind of play with and kind of get the first value out of it, which then was not connected to anything, was more like a standalone.
I remember we ruffled some feathers with that one, I think.
But it worked well and gave people value. Now I think the way we develop is in very close cooperation with the users. So we clearly know what they need and do feature prioritization at the same time, while always making sure that everything connects back and we don't do any stupid shortcuts.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I think is really that's why I asked about the off-the-shelf solutions. SumUp has a huge ecosystem, and to integrate all of that stuff, like I didn't know what you really meant when we went into the project before. Like I could imagine that there's a bunch of internal APIs, but all of this I can, like, even if the app was in itself completely ugly and unusable, I think just to have this in one place would be a benefit already.
Well, I think what we have both in Brazil and in the US, we have two off-the-shelf apps that are not connected to anything, which means you have plenty of people downloading Excel lists, uploading Excel lists, downloading Excel lists, uploading Excel lists, trying to somehow sync whatever is happening in those two apps with whatever happens in the rest of the company, which obviously is a major, that never works, a major waste of resources and just a pain.
I'm looking forward to getting this app in even more hands. It also feels like since the number of reps is ramping up in this project, it also really like it doesn't feel like we just started something for a couple of people anymore. Like now we actually have traffic on this, and if you change something where you didn't anticipate that this would create some ripples, it does. Like people jump in your face right away, and I really love that we're so close to our user base.
Which is especially funny because it's used in 4 or 5 countries and soon even more. So which might work really well for Italy does not work for the UK or the other way around. So you also need to somehow make sure you make this internationally, globally usable and acceptable to everybody.
Yeah, even just for Europe to find compromises between feature specs, so to say, is starting to become particular, I would say. Yeah, but it's very interesting to make this happen from a UX perspective. Thank you, Mark, for taking the time. That was really, really lovely to hear. And I always enjoy chatting with you anyway about the project and life in general. And I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity and for the trust placed in us during this project. Super cool.
And thanks a lot for your support during this project and for
Yeah.